Good evening. How is everybody tonight? Thought I'd have an impromptu live stream watch me edit session. I never know when these things are about to happen. It's just as surprising to me as it is for you probably. Otherwise, I'd give everybody a heads up. It's kind of like I've got a few minutes. I could go live and I'll just give everyone like a 10-minute heads up before I get on, which is 10 minutes before the 10-minute countdown. So it gives you guys 20 minutes at least. Thought I would, doing the countdown, get creative with my lights and set some things up. But I don't know how that's going to make my stream look because I just realized my camera is set at like 8,000 ISO. Looks fine, I think. Anyway, I got to decide what we are going to edit this evening. Let me reset some things on here. And while I'm doing that, why don't you guys give me a little shout out in the chat. Let me know what you guys are up to. Let me know if you have any photo shoots scheduled that you're going to be doing. And there's got to be a few of you on. It's Sunday night. Nobody's doing anything, right? No big plans for tomorrow. It's just Monday. Nothing's going on Monday. Got to figure out how to reset all my settings here. I think I've got a photo picked out from a session that we had early this morning. There we go. All right. Is there nobody on? Seriously? Somebody's got to be on, right? 3 of you are on. You guys, the ones who are on, you've caught me live. So if you have a unique opportunity to ask me anything. Ask me any questions. Let's see if I can share my screen with you guys. Whoops, wrong button. Hoping to just make the photo that I'm fixing to edit disappear. Hey, there we go. Now you can see what I see. And me, still. Wait a little bit. Oh, people are just dropping off now. Okay, I guess I'll stop waiting. All right, so here's the photo that we're going to be editing this evening. We took this at about 8:10 this morning as the sun was coming up behind her. Got a little bit of rim light that's making her pop out a little bit. Removing her from the background there. Got some nice rim light across here and across her shoulders. Anytime you put the sun directly or pretty much directly behind them, it just really makes them pop out off the background. Same with the tree. You can see the sun is off to our right over here, coming in this direction. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this image up a little bit. We've got some twigs hanging off the tree up here. And some of these vines I might get rid of down here. Maybe the stick across the bottom here. I just want to kind of clean up any distractions. I'll fix the composition, correct exposure and white balance color, all that here in Lightroom. So let's go ahead and get started. Of course, before we get started, I'm going to mention that I shot this with I wish my hotkeys would work. If I'm clicked on the wrong monitor, the hotkeys won't work. So I've got to remember I'm clicked on whatever monitor I'm on. Oh, there's 4 of you on. Welcome to the stream. If you guys are joining just now, we captured this photo early this morning at about 8:10. I was using my Sony a7 IV with my Canon 200mm 1.8, the Eye of Sauron. I was shooting at 1/500th of a second at 640 ISO. I did have to crank the ISO up a little bit because it being that early in the morning, it was a touch dark yet. We're in the woods, but we're also next to a big field, an open field, so you can see the catch light in her eyes because of the open field and the open sky. Yet she is still in the shadows, which is giving us some gorgeous soft light and soft shadows, so that works out. So let's go ahead and get editing here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start by hitting auto. And that will get us pretty darn close to where I'm wanting to be. Make a few tweaks. I'm going to bring the clarity down a little bit to soften the skin tones. And I'm going to kind of separate her from the background. Here we go. Anything that is white will be affected by this. Anything that is black will not. So if I just left it masking at 0, everything would be sharpened. I'm going to sharpen the finer details here. So I can go to about 90, I'd say. So now if I zoom in here, I can bring the amount up. If I bring it all the way up to 150, you can see her eyes, teeth, hair, clothes are all affected, but it's not going to affect anything in the background. So I'm going to set this around 80. I'm going to bring the details up to about 50 as well. And if I toggle this on and off, let me zoom up a little bit more here. You can kind of see the difference. It actually softens the areas that weren't selected. Let me grab that mask again to show you. So notice like the skin is not selected, but the eyes, the teeth, hair, all that's selected. So those are the things that are being affected. So it's actually softening the skin, but then sharpening other areas, the areas that we want. Let's go ahead and fix the composition. Actually, I'm considering, I think I'm going to actually save the composition for Photoshop because I might use a little AI to reframe this. I mean, we could also get away with just cropping in. I think I'm just going to crop in. Unless you guys, if somebody on there wants to see how I would re-crop or reframe using AI, just let me know in the chat and we'll do that. You know what? I'll just do it. Somebody will want to see it. That's everything I'm going to do in Lightroom. I'll just show you my before and after. Here's the before. There's the after. And if you notice, I actually didn't warm it up at all. It just naturally becomes warmer as you make adjustments. Simply by bringing the highlights down, the shadows up a little bit. Just pulls those colors out. Of course, we've got vibrance. Vibrance is what introduced a lot of that color right there. If I turn this off, can I turn out just the vibrance? Can I cancel that out? Let's see. I guess not. We might have somebody coming. Okay. I'm going to right click. Open in. If only you guys could see what I'm seeing. I've got monitors everywhere. Actually, there is a way. Let's see if I can do this. Give me 1 second. I have a child knocking on the door. Even after I told everybody what I would be up to, they still think whatever is going on in their lives right now is more important than Dad's stream. Let's see if I can actually... maybe not. It might not let me. Oh, no, I don't think it's going to let me. I was going to see if I could use my phone. It connects to my phone every time I try to go live, and I have to disconnect it. Now that I want to use it, it won't connect. So, sorry. You guys don't get to see what I see. Maybe next time. All right, back to the edit. All right, so we've got our image pulled up in Photoshop. I'm going to go ahead and make a duplicate of the background layer. And think about what we do. Okay, let's fix our composition by reframing using artificial intelligence. So what I'm going to do is, first off, I want to untick the lock that's down here. That way we can modify the bottom layer, because what's going to happen is when I change my composition here, oop, don't want to do that. I'm going to change it to a 5x7 and Bring it out to about there. That gives us empty space right here. If I don't untick that lock, it'll be filled up with black or something. So I'm just going to select right there. And hey, I put my little box over here this time. That's nice. I usually put it on a different monitor. We're going to hit generative fill, hit generate, and watch it do its magic. And there we go. And you got to be careful. I want to watch to make sure. Sometimes you can see a little bit of a line coming through here. I can see it. So we've got 3 choices here. I'm going to cycle through here. Maybe this one's not too bad. Sometimes I'll have to come in here and clean this up. I can see a little bit of a line right here. So I'm actually just going to combine these two. Or before I do that, actually, let me show you something. If we zoom in here, you can't tell real bad here, but a little bit. When you use AI, it tends to be, the quality is not that great. So like we've got clean, clear grass right here, and then when it comes over here, it gets kind of weird. You can clean it up a little bit by clicking this button right here. It'll just up-res it, up the resolution. And there we go. Oh, wow, that actually, they might have updated it because usually it's not that clean. I don't like whatever it put there. That's kind of weird. I'm going to fix that. So let's go ahead and combine these 2 layers. And yes, I know I'm just kind of running through here. Basic hotkeys. You'll learn all that on my in my classes. When I'm just live on here, I'm just going to kind of go through and edit rather than think about all the buttons I'm hitting and everything. I'm going to grab my AI healing brush tool and get rid of this little doodad up here. And I think I'm going to get rid of this vine. It keeps kind of grabbing my attention. It's just hooked on this tiny branch. So let's get rid of that. This is the tool. You guys can see what tools I'm using because you can see what's selected over here. But I've got the remove tool, the AI remove tool. It does a really good job. I like it. It's cleaner than the AI generative fill, but sometimes the generative fill is going to be, depending on what you're doing, generally it'll be a better tool because like the remove tool is only sampling off of your image, whereas the generative fill is sampling off of the archive of millions and millions of photos that Adobe has in their database. What time is it? It's 7:14. Somebody should be on. 7:14 on a Sunday? It is Sunday. All right, that's Sunday. Nobody is lighting up the chat room, the chat area over there. Let me see if I can clean this up a little bit. Yeah, that's not too bad. All right. Now that we've kind of cleaned all that up. Oh yeah, there's one more thing I kind of want to do. And this is where I'm going to want to use generative fill probably, because if I try to remove this big old thing with the remove tool, it probably won't do a decent job, but let's just see what it does. Because it doesn't have a whole lot to sample from here. You got to kind of keep in mind what is in your image in order for it to be able to replace something. It's kind of taking its good old time this evening. That's not too bad. I mean, it's got this little area all across here to sample from, but it could be sampling from back here as well. I'm just kind of thinking back the way I would do it if I had to do it manually without the AI tools that we have now. That's what I'd have to do. Good evening. There's somebody on. Good evening, Denise. Thought I was here all alone. I'm not good talking to myself for very long. So we've been doing some AI stuff. Have you been watching all along, or did you just get on? Here's where we've gone so far. So here's our before. We used a little generative fill to fill in to reframe. Get here right in the center. Which reminds me, actually I gotta clean this up a little bit. Anytime I use the generative fill to reframe, sometimes you'll get a little bit of a line. Nobody will probably ever notice, but I notice. It's like, it bugs me. I gotta clean it up. All right, let's see if there's anything we need to do in here. Maybe lighten up her face just a little bit. We could do some of that with some dodging and burning. But this is a really clean image. So we'll just go ahead and do a little bit of that. Grab my dodge and burn there. And just use the dodge. To just lighten our face up a little bit. Maybe a little bit down here. I'm just brushing this on at 10% opacity. Go ahead and do some burning as well. I guess I could do kind of lighten up her eyes a little bit here too. Just kind of make them pop a little bit. All right, I think that's about enough of that. Make sure she doesn't have any like scratches or anything on her feet. Everything looks good and clean. All right, I'm going to separate her from the background. Wait a second, what did it do? Okay, I know what it did. I'm going to combine these two together because what my action does is it samples off of the layer beneath it. So it was using our dodge and burn layer. So that's why it did that weird thing. Now we've got her separated. And I'm just going to grab a little bit of yellow right there. And the sun is right back over here. So I'm going to just dab this just like right about there. Just to kind of emphasize a little bit more of the light that's coming through here. I'm going to grab my hairbrush. All these actions are available on my website, by the way. It just really helps speed up the process when I've got a ton of images that I'm working on without compromising on the quality of the images. Anything that is a repetitive task, if I can turn it into an action, I turn it into an action, and that way I can get through an edit way quicker. The downside to that is if I don't do the thing after a while, like my dodge and burn brush, or my hairbrush even, I forget how I built it. I have to go back, go like into the actions and try to decode what I did to make it in the first place. That's usually the problem when you let a machine take over your job, is you start to lose. Your brain doesn't have to work anymore, so you start to lose that ability. All right, I'm going to get a little bit of a vignette going on here. Again, pull from kind of where the light is up here. This is another one of my actions. All these layers that I'm adding here are actions. All right, I'm going to pull the opacity on that down a bit, because that's a little too much. Maybe about there. That's still quite a bit. Maybe a little bit more. Maybe 50%. There we go. And then my final action, which is what I kind of wrap up on, it applies a few different actions actually are combined into one action, which also adds my logo that I can just grab and kind of reposition over there. One of which, I'm going to turn the logo off for a minute, is a little bit more sharpening, but you got to be careful with it because it applies it to the whole. It's actually very similar to what we did in Lightroom, but it just brings things out a little bit more, and it only applies to the areas that are in focus, not the foreground or the background. The problem is you got to watch out for like hair. It really sharpens hair. So what I like to do is paint it off of the hair. Maybe not by 100%, but actually I have been a lot lately just painting it off 100% because I like my hair to be a little more soft. I'm going to go back maybe 80%. Just brush it off the hair. But now we've got almost that painting look to it with all the different things that we've done up to this point. So if I show you the before and after now, get this out of the way. Here's our before. Here's our after. Before, after. And you really see it if you zoom in. Before, after. So just notice how much like cleaner her face is and how it just pops out more. It's brighter. Points of interest are sharper, like her eyes and her teeth and such. It just looks cleaner and more clear. That's it. We are done with this edit. These tend to go pretty quick if nobody's in here asking questions. So I'm going to just go ahead and wrap this up. So I'm going to save this actually on my desktop. Another action I have. I don't know that this action is available for you guys, but I have, it might be in the actions pack. I'm not sure, but I have mine programmed to F10 on my keyboard. I just hit it and it saves a version of it for social media. It automatically changes the aspect ratio to what I would set it to for posting to social media. So that way I can just post it on Instagram and Facebook, and then social media does not compress the image and keeps it as clean as possible. So if I optimize it myself, then social media should leave it alone. So with that, yes, thank you guys so much for joining. Thank you for watching. And I guess I will see you guys next time. But before I go, one more thing.
Photographers, are you frustrated with camera settings and the editing process? Are your photos not turning out the way you envisioned? You're not alone. Like many, you might feel overwhelmed by the maze of settings and editing software. Photography shouldn't be this complicated. Trust me, I know how it feels. I've been right where you are, juggling settings, battling with edits, and watching my visions blur into disappointment, wasting countless hours trying to figure it all out on my own. But it doesn't have to be that way. So what's the solution? My photography school, of course. But why would you want to learn from me? With over a decade of experience and my work featured globally, I've cracked the code to breathtaking photography. My classes and courses have helped thousands of photographers just like you, not just to take amazing photos, but to create art. Let me be your guide, with an ever-growing library of over 100 videos teaching you everything from what gear to use to the nuances of how the slightest difference of light can affect your image. What's more, if what you're looking for is not in the library, as a student in the Academy, you have a direct link to me where you can request specific tutorials. But who's the Academy for? I'm glad you asked. It's not necessarily for beginners who are picking up a camera for the first time, although there are a lot of beginner-level classes. It's geared more towards the photographer who's been dabbling for a bit and is ready to better their craft and drastically sharpen their editing skills. If you're a complete beginner, consider signing up for the free course. It will get you well on your way. Quit doubting your every move or getting stuck in endless edits. No more wasting time trying to figure it all out yourself. Learn from someone who's already been there. I guarantee if you follow the classes and implement the lessons into your shooting, you will see huge results in a short period of time. Sign up for the Academy today and go from struggling with basic shots, unsure edits, and hours lost in frustration to an empowered photographer telling compelling stories through images, confident in every click and edit. So what are you waiting for? School's in session. I'll see you in the Academy.